Chapter 9. Ananda, all those in the world who cultivate in their hearts, but do not avail themselves of dhyana, and so have no wisdom, can only control their bodies so as not to engage in sexual desire. Whether walking or sitting, or in their thoughts, they are totally devoid of it. Since they do not give rise to defiling love, they do not remain in the realm of desire. These people, in response to their thought, take on the bodies of Brahma beings. Such beings are in the heaven of the multitudes of Brahma. In those whose hearts of desire have already been cast aside, the mind apart from desire manifests. They delight in following the precepts, practicing Brahma virtue at all times. Such beings are in the heaven of the ministers of Brahma. Those whose bodies and minds are wonderfully perfect, and whose majestic deportment is not in the least deficient, are pure in the precepts and have a thorough understanding of them as well. Governing the Brahma multitudes as great Brahma lords, such beings are in the great Brahma heaven. Ananda, those who flow to these three superior levels will not be oppressed by any affliction. Although they have not developed proper samadhi, their minds are pure to the point that all outflows are stilled. This is called the first dhyana. Ananda, those beyond the Brahma heavens govern the Brahma beings, for their Brahma conduct is perfected. With their minds tranquil and unmoving, they emit light in profound stillness. Such beings are in the heaven of the lesser light. Those whose lights illumine each other in an endless dazzling blaze shine throughout the realms of the 10 directions, so that everything becomes like crystal. Such beings are in the heaven of limitless light. Those who sustain the light to perfection accomplish the substance of the teaching, creating and transforming the purity into endless responses and functions. Such beings are in the light sound heaven. Ananda, those who flow to these three superior levels will not be oppressed by worries or vexations. Although they have not developed proper samadhi, their minds are pure to the point that they have subdued their coarser outflows. This is called the second dhyana. Ananda, heavenly beings for whom the perfection of light has become sound, and who further open out the sound to disclose its wonder, arrive at a more vigorous level of practice. Arriving at the bliss of still extinction, such beings are in the heaven of lesser purity. Those in whom the state of purity is emptied experience the boundlessness of light ease in their bodies and minds, and they have accomplished the bliss of still extinction. Such beings are in the heaven of limitless purity. Those for whom the world, the body, and the mind are all perfectly pure have accomplished the virtue of purity, and they consider this to be a superior abode in which they can return to the bliss of still extinction. Such beings are in the heaven of pervasive purity. Ananda, those who flow to these three superior levels will be replete with great compliance. Their bodies and minds are at peace, and they obtain limitless bliss. Although they have not obtained genuine samadhi, the joy within the tranquility of their minds is total. This is called the third dhyana. Moreover, Ananda, heavenly beings whose bodies and minds are not oppressed, put an end to the cause of suffering and realize that bliss is not permanent, that sooner or later it will come to an end. They resolutely renounce both thoughts of suffering and thoughts of bliss. Their coarse afflictions vanish, and pure blessings arise. Such beings are in the heaven of the birth of blessings. Those whose renunciation of these thoughts is perfected gain a purity of superior understanding. Within these unimpeded blessings they obtain a wonderful compliance that extends to the bounds of the future. Such beings are in the blessed love heaven. Ananda, from that heaven there are 2 ways to go. Those who extend the previous thought into limitless pure light, and those who perfect their blessings and virtue, cultivate and are certified to one of these dwellings. Such beings are in the vast fruit heaven. Those who extend the previous thought into a dislike of both suffering and bliss unceasingly intensify their renunciation until they perfect the path of renunciation. Their bodies and minds will become extinct, their thoughts will become like dead ashes. For 500 eons, these beings will perpetuate the cause for production and extinction. Being unable to uncover the nature which is neither produced nor extinguished, during the first half of these eons they will undergo extinction. During the second half, they will experience production. Such beings are in the heaven of no thought. Ananda, those who flow to these 4 superior levels will not be affected by any suffering or bliss in any world. Although this is not the unconditioned of the true ground of non-moving, because they still have the thought of obtaining something, their functioning is nonetheless quite advanced. This is called the 4th dhyana. Beyond these, Ananda, are the 5 heavens of no return. For those who have completely cut off the 9 categories of habits in the lower realms, neither suffering nor bliss exist, and there is no regression to the lower levels. All whose minds have achieved this renunciation dwell in these heavens together. Ananda, those who have put an end to suffering and bliss, and who do not get involved in the contention between such thoughts, are in the heaven of no affliction. When the mind and states are disengaged, even the thought of investigating that involvement is gone. Such beings are in the heaven of no heat. Those whose vision is wonderfully perfect and clear view the realms of the 10 directions as free of defiling appearances and devoid of all dirt and filth. Such beings are in the heaven of good view. Those whose essence of seeing has manifested and are able to transform at will without obstruction, such beings are in the heaven of good manifestation. Those who exhaustively fathom the ultimate principle and the nature of form reach the border of emptiness. Such beings are in the highest heaven of the form realm. Ananda, those in the 4 dhyanas and even the rulers of the gods at those 4 levels can only pay their respects through having heard of the beings in the heavens of no return. They cannot know them or see them, just as ordinary people of the world cannot see the places where the Arhats abide in holy way places, deep in the wilderness and in the mountains. Ananda, in these 18 heavens are those who remain solitary and uninvolved, but who have not yet gotten rid of their form. These heavens are called the form realm. Furthermore, Ananda, from this summit of the form realm, there are also 2 roads. Those who are intent upon renunciation bring forth wisdom. The light of their wisdom becomes perfect and penetrating, so that they can transcend the defiling realms, accomplish arhatship, and enter the bodhisattva vehicle. They are called great arhats who have turned their minds around. Those who dwell in the thought of renunciation, and who succeed in renunciation and rejection, realize that their bodies are an obstacle. If they thereupon obliterate the obstacle and enter into emptiness, they are at the station of emptiness. For those who have eradicated all obstacles, there is neither obstruction nor extinction. Then there remains only the alaya consciousness and half of the subtle functions of the manas. These beings are at the station of boundless consciousness. Those who have already done away with emptiness and form eradicate the conscious mind as well. In the extensive tranquility of the 10 directions, there is nowhere at all to go. These beings are at the station of nothing whatsoever. The nature of consciousness is unmoving, yet within extinction they exhaustively investigate it, attempting to put an end to what is endless. Thus, it is as if it existed and yet did not exist, as if it were ended and yet not ended. Such beings are at the station of neither thought nor non-thought. These beings who cultivate the path of sagehood from the heavens of no return by delving exhaustively into emptiness without fathoming the principle of emptiness are known as dull arhats who do not turn their minds around. Just like those in the heaven of non-thought and other externalist heavens who exhaustively investigate emptiness without knowing to turn around, these beings are ignorant and lost in the heavens with outflows. They will accordingly enter the cycle of rebirth again. Ananda, the beings in all these heavens are ordinary beings receiving the fruits of their karmic rewards. Once their rewards are exhausted, they must once again enter rebirth. The lords of these heavens, however, are all bodhisattvas who roam in samadhi. They gradually progress in their practice and make transference to the way cultivated by all sages. Ananda, these are the 4 heavens of emptiness, where the bodies and minds of the inhabitants are extinguished. Concentration emerges, and they are free from the karmic retribution of form. This final group is called the formless realm. The beings in all of them have not understood the wonderfully enlightened bright mind. Their accumulation of falseness brings into being false existence in the triple realm. Within this, they falsely follow along and become immersed in the 7 destinies. As Putgalas, they gather together with their own kind. Furthermore, Ananda, there are 4 categories of ASURAS in the triple realm. Those in the path of ghosts who, by means of their strength of protecting the Dharma, can ride their spiritual penetrations to enter into emptiness, are ASURAS born from eggs. They belong to the destiny of ghosts. Those who have fallen in virtue and have been dismissed from the heavens dwell in places near the sun and moon. They are ASURAS born from wombs and belong to the destiny of humans. There are Asura kings who uphold the world with penetrating power and fearlessness. They are able to contend with the Brahma Lord, the god Chakra, and the 4 heavenly kings. These Asuras come into being by transformation and belong to the destiny of gods. Ananda, there is another baser category of Asuras. They are born in the center of the great seas and live in underwater caves. During the day, they roam in emptiness. At night, they return to their watery realm. These Asuras come into being because of moisture and belong to the destiny of animals. Ananda, so it is that when the 7 destinies of hell dwellers, hungry ghosts, animals, people, spiritual immortals, gods, and Asuras are investigated in detail, they are all found to be murky and embroiled in conditioned existence. Their births come from false thoughts. Their subsequent karma comes from false thoughts. Within the wonderful perfection of the fundamental mind that is without any doing, they are like strange flowers in space, for there is basically nothing to be attached to. They are entirely vain and false, and they have no source or beginning. Ananda, these living beings who do not recognize the fundamental mind all undergo rebirth for limitless kalpas. They do not attain true purity because they keep getting involved in killing, stealing, and lust, or because they counter them and are born according to their not killing, not stealing, or lack of lust. If these 3 karmas are present in them, they are born among the troop of ghosts. If they are free of these 3 karmas, they are born in the destiny of gods. The incessant fluctuation between the presence and absence of these 3 karmas gives rise to the cycle of rebirth. For those who are able to bring forth samadhi, neither the presence nor the absence of these karmas exist in that eternal stillness. Even their non-existence is done away with. Since the lack of killing, stealing, and lust is non-existent, how could there be actual involvement in deeds of killing, stealing, and lust? Ananda, those who do not cut off the 3 karmas each have their own private share. Because each has a private share, private shares come to be accumulated, making collective portions. They are not without a fixed source, for they arise from falseness. Since they arise from falseness, they are basically without a cause, and thus they cannot be traced precisely. You should warn cultivators that they must get rid of these 3 delusions if they want to cultivate Bodhi. If they do not put an end to these 3 delusions, then even the spiritual penetrations they may attain are merely a worldly conditioned function. If they do not extinguish these habits, they will fall into the path of demons. Although they wish to cast out the false, they become doubly deceptive instead. The Tathagata says that such beings are pitiful. You have created this falseness yourself. It is not the fault of Bodhi. An explanation such as this is proper speech. Any other explanation is the speech of demon kings.